Let's get busy. Hello tarantula lovers, I'm Alex and you're watching Tarantula Haven. If you saw my last video, you know that it had somewhat of a somber tone to it. If you were wondering about my dachshund Penny, she's doing great. She's back from the hospital. The surgery seems to have worked and she's still wobbly, but she's walking around on her own now and she's in for a lot of therapy. Right now she's 2 weeks of crate rest, and after that she can start roaming around a little bit, but we have to keep a real close eye on her. So thank you for all the well wishes on Penny. She's doing great. So today's video is actually a happy video. Last week I was sad because I had to send off my mature male Carabiner versicolor to a breeder, and I had raised it from a tiny little sling, so I'd grown attached to it. Well, in exchange, she sent me back a mature male Psalmopoeus cambridgei so that I could breed it to my female. So that is a happy thing for me. This is something that I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to get into breeding, and so I had an unboxing to do on Wednesday, so here's that. Alright, so this is going to be a quick unboxing. I just got this in yesterday. I sent out my my Carabiner versicolor to the breeder, and in exchange, oh, I got something in my mouth. In exchange, she sent me a male P. cambridgei. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this because I get to start a breeding project. She gets to start a breeding project, and you know, hopefully I can produce some babies with him. I've got a female that's ready to go, and hopefully we will be able to get some babies here soon. I'd like to have an egg sac. Now, of course, that's always iffy. Things don't always go as planned, as you know. So sometimes potential breedings end up tragic and the male gets eaten. I'm gonna try my best not to have that happen, but yeah, I'm really excited about this. Okay, so everything is packaged all nice and neat. Alright, let me put that aside. So, yep, he came in a little dram vial like this, just like my my P. regalis that I got in, my female P. regalis. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And I'm putting him in this temporary enclosure right here. I'll put him next to the female, see if there's some drumming or anything like that, and get her prepared. And hopefully, maybe by this weekend, I'll be able to do a pairing. Now, give me a little bit. I got to go get some tweezers. I forgot to do that, so I can get him out of here. Alright, I'm back. I got my tweezers. Now, P. cambridgei are supposed to be very fast and very defensive. I'm kind of spoiled with mine because she is actually rather docile and slow and has never given me a threat posture. But I don't know how this one is going to be. And there's a little glimpse of his butt there. Alright, so I'm going to put him in this enclosure. So I got to get that lid ready. But let's see if I can pull him out without him freaking out too much and bolting on me. All right, so far so good. Okay, let me see about getting this opened up on the end. Seems that she's got it folded down there. So see, this way I can maybe push him out the other end into the enclosure. Yeah, it's not going to open up very much. Alright, so we'll have to unravel him. Let's see, maybe I can push him out the other way. Make him head out backwards. Oh, there he goes. Oh yeah, he's quick. So, yeah, this one would have been all over the place for me. Okay, so he's quick and very lively. I'm going to open that up, let you get a glimpse of him. There he is. So right now I'm going to let him settle down. I'm going to leave him in there with his paper and pull that out later on, because I am actually getting ready to go pick up Penny today. She's getting out a day early from the hospital, so I'm pretty happy about that, and I'll tell you more about that later on. So I have a mature male Psalmopoeus cambridgei that I plan on breeding to my female. And my female actually has a name. I tend to give my females names because I know that they're going to be around for a while. And this one's name is Meg Mucklebones. And the reason I called her Meg Mucklebones is because she's got mossy green color. And she has a voracious appetite, and it reminded me of a character in the movie Legend. And here's a little clip to show you that.
What a fine fat boy you are, Jack.
You don't really mean to eat me, do you, ma'am?
Oh, indeed I do!
So yeah, Meg has a boyfriend, and I intend to breed her. So why do I have the squeeze bulb? Well, I have the squeeze bulb to kind of represent the male's emboli. And the emboli are basically the sex organs on a male tarantula that it gets on the ends of its pedipalps. If you've noticed, when a male matures, they have kind of a boxing glove appearance to those pedipalps on the front. And that's because of the presence of the emboli. Now, the emboli is usually folded under like this, which of course gives you that boxing glove appearance. So you don't really see it, you just kind of see a round reddish bulb on it, and that gives you the indication that yeah, it's a male, it's matured. Some males will have the hooks on them, what they call tibial hooks. Others will not. It just depends on the species, but you can definitely know because of the emboli on the end of the pedipalps. Now, what is the emboli for? This is basically a depositor of their sperm. So what happens is when a male matures, you have to wait until the male produces a sperm web. And what a sperm web is basically a little bit of a web that they produce that makes kind of like a tent. They'll usually do in a corner somewhere, and then they'll crawl underneath it upside down as if they were molting, and they'll deposit some of their sperm onto that web. And just like this squeeze bulb, they will actually suck up that sperm into the squeeze bulb, into the emboli, and then they're loaded and ready to go. So when they mate with a female, they will have those emboli like this, but when they go to insert, that emboli comes out, and they will insert the tip of the emboli into the female and then squeeze out that sperm, and then they're done. And that's how you know that you've had a successful pairing, when they get that insertion and actually squeeze in their sperm. So that is what I plan on doing here. This is the second part, is a pairing of my tarantulas, and hopefully it will be successful, and I'll see you at the end of the video. So he's in his enclosure, and right away I noticed that there was some webbing in there, and I wasn't sure if he'd made another sperm web. The breeder told me that he had recently made one. This is Meg's enclosure, and that's where he's going to go. Now, I wasn't familiar with this tarantula, so I don't know its temperament, and Psalmopoeus cambridgei is supposed to be defensive and pretty quick. So I'm being careful, making sure that I don't spook it too bad, and just testing it out. And it seems to be pretty much like my female. It's pretty docile acting. I don't see any threat display, although it does challenge the stick there. It just kind of turned around toward it. But it's not actually threatening, striking, or anything like that. It's just curious and trying to get away from it. So all I have to do is just basically gently coax it, and I did spook it there by moving the enclosure, but that was okay. It was just a short bolt. And typically when a male goes into a female's enclosure, you usually will see some tapping, some drumming going on. And I didn't see any tapping or drumming from this tarantula. And in fact, at first, it just doesn't seem to detect the presence of the female. It's just kind of feeling around, but then it tries to leave the enclosure. And gently I try to prod it back in. I don't want it to leave until it detects the female. So, I'm just kind of pushing it back in, making sure it goes back toward the female. And Meg is hiding behind the cork tube there. She actually doesn't spend a whole lot of time inside the cork tube anymore. She's kind of made herself a nice little home behind it. And there she is. She detects him. So she's coming out to check things out. So I'm a little apprehensive at this point because I know how she is and she's real grabby with food. She'll snatch stuff right out of the tongs. So I didn't want it to be a thing where I put him in there and she just immediately snatches him and grabs him. So yeah, I'm kind of worried here. And I've got my tongs in hand, although you can't really see them right now, but I'm kind of ready to intervene if I have to. And it's like the male doesn't really seem to notice her until she comes around the other side of the cork tube, which you're going to see in just a second. There you go. So she started coming around the other side and it's like he detects something. And of course she comes out. Now this is where things got really scary for me. So I'm ready with those tongs just in case. And still there's no drumming or anything. They're just kind of touching each other and making sure that they know that each other's presence is there. So again, I'm still worried because he's not in the best position for breeding at this point. He's above her and not really in the best position to lift up those fangs. So, it's just a wait and see kind of thing right now. So I wasn't too sure at this point what was going to happen, if he was going to lose interest and try to crawl over the other side. There's just a bunch of touching of each other. And again, he's not in the best position. He didn't look like he was trying to get into a better position. So, I wasn't really sure if anything was going to happen at this point. And now at this point, I see that he's actually trying to get himself into a better position. And still there's a bunch of what I call caressing. They weren't exactly drumming or thumping or doing anything like that. They're just kind of feeling each other out, which was pretty cool. And he seems to be putting his legs into a better position to grab those fangs. And you can see my tongs there in the upper corner as I'm getting ready to intervene in case something bad happens. But so far so good. Nobody's making any sudden movements and there's no lunging. I don't see any fangs coming out. So I'm not too worried, but I'm just ready. So now I can clearly see that he is definitely trying to get into position. He keeps tapping at her legs and trying to get her to lift her legs so that he can better position himself underneath. And I can definitely see him attempt to hook with the forelegs there. He does have tibial hooks, and he's trying to get into that position where he can grab those fangs. So right here you can clearly see that he's moving in closer and closer to her fangs, and that's definitely on purpose. So he backs off a little bit. And here he's making a move again, and he's closing in a little bit, positioning himself a little bit better. And there he goes. He grabs the fangs, and he's tapping her underside just a little bit on the sternum, and he makes that lunge. And that lunge is when he tries to go in and just deposit the sperm. But I don't think that he got her back far enough because the cork tube was in the way. So he's kind of tapping around, but he didn't really get an insertion there. So I thought, oh no, this is not going to go well, and I may have to try again another day. So he's kind of tapping her a little bit, seeing if he can coax her out, but nothing. He didn't get an insertion there. And if you notice, he hasn't let go of those fangs. He's still holding on, and he just let go. So there, I thought that, it was over with. He's positioning himself again for a better insertion. And once again, he starts pushing his legs in there toward the fangs, trying to get those hooks on there. And there he goes, the fangs come out, and he's got the hooks in. So he's got it in the better position. He's tapping her sternum again, and he goes for the lunge. And this time it looks like he's got her back far enough, and I can actually see right there on the bottom he has inserted. There it is right there. He got one, and then he put another one in. So he actually did a double insertion there. He put one pedipalp and then the other. And that was it. And then they break off. So he sat there for a good while, and after a little bit he started to clean his pedipalps. He started to clean the emboli, and right there you can see the little point of the embolus on the end of his pedipalp there, and you can see it on the other one right about here, and that's the other point to the embolus. So when those are out, you usually know that there's been insertion taking place. So pretty much the rest of the time he sat there, and I thought that maybe he was going to try again. She started coming back out, but they just kind of sat there touching each other and didn't really go any further than that. So afterward, I just kind of coaxed him out of her enclosure and took him down the side of the enclosure into his. At first, he didn't want to go in. He just kind of wandered around. But yeah, a lot of people talk about how this species is very defensive and very quick. And so far, my experience has not been that. That doesn't mean that that's not true. So that don't take it as, you know, me telling you that these guys are docile and all that. They can be defensive. I have not experienced that, but it may just be that I, you know, treat them gently and my movements are very slow, so they don't react in a defensive manner. So yeah, they just casually strolled along the side of the enclosure before I finally got them in. So I am so happy that that went well. That was a very successful pairing, and it was probably one of the most gentle pairings I think I've ever witnessed. Most of the time there's a lot of tapping and drumming going on. Sometimes there's some close calls, and you know, there were a couple of tense moments there for me, but it actually went very well. Even at the end, there was no attempt to kill the male or go after him. He just casually let go, and she went down to the bottom of her enclosure, and then he just casually strolled off. So you can't ask for better than that. That was pretty stress-free, and I could easily get him back into his enclosure, and everything went well. Now, most of the time when people pair tarantulas, a lot of times they will pair them multiple times, and that's just to ensure that as much as possible that they can get an egg sac and that they were successful. So I'm holding on to him because obviously he survived, and I'll probably pair him a couple more times and see if anything else happens. But I'm pretty happy, and I'm thinking that things are going to go well with this one. Now, I'll have to wait and see. It'll probably take a little while before she produces an egg sac. And then from there, it's still wait and see again. And, you know, sometimes they will eat their egg sac. Sometimes the egg sac can go bad. It can get moldy. So there's a whole lot of things that come into play at this point. So I'm not, you know, exactly successful yet, but I hope to be, and I will keep you posted on what happens from here on out, and hopefully we will get to see some baby Psalmopoeus cambridgei. So that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed it. I just wanted to say a quick thank you to Amy for making this possible and doing the trade with me. I hope that my Seaversi produces a lot of babies for you, and hopefully I'll get some babies for my Pete cambridgei. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. If you want to support this channel, I have a Redbubble store where I sell Tarantula Haven merchandise. Any of the proceeds that come from that merchandise will go directly to help grow and support this channel. There is a link down below to that Redbubble store in the description. So until next time, keep loving them tarantulas.